Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we are tackling 4 peaks: Colvin, Blake, Nippletop, and Dial. Named after Verplanck Colvin and Mills Blake, Colvin and Blake peaks honor their work in surveying the region. Nippletop and Dial, however, have more of a convoluted naming history. This hike spans 18.5 miles with 6,500 feet of elevation gained, making it a more challenging hike than most. However, these 4 peaks can be divided into 2 different hikes. Conditions today are very smoky from wildfires, and the trails are pretty muddy, but we won't let that stop us. Also joining me today is my good friend James Appleton, the host of the 46 of 46 podcast. So let's embark on this journey throughout these historic peaks. Lace up your boots and let's get started. Today's hike has us in the eastern side of the High Peaks region in the Ausable Valley. Starting off from the Adirondack Mountain Reserve, we will hike half a mile to the starting point, then walk 2 miles down Lake Road to the Gill Brook Trail intersection. From there, we will hike up to Colvin, which is 6.2 miles in, and then we'll do a 2.6 mile out and back to Blake from Colvin, making it a total of 4.8 miles out and back from Colvin and Blake together. Next, we will hike 1.9 miles up the Nippletop, descend 2 miles down to Dial, and then continue all the way back to Lake Road and return to the parking lot. It is important to note that there is very little water on this trail, with Gill Brook being the only reliable water source. It should be noted that the AMR does require you to make a reservation in order to park in their parking lot. Once you arrive, walk the half a mile up the gravel road to the sign-in booth, which is where you'll begin your journey at the AMR gate. Walking this road can certainly be monotonous, but approximately 0.8 of a mile in, you will be met with the HG Leach Trail, which is where you'll be descending back down from Dial. Keep walking past this another mile or so, and you will come to the Beaver Meadow Falls Trail, which is right next to Gill Brook. This is the intersection trail that you will be taking 2 miles in down the road. This is a beautiful trail that follows Gill Brook with both easy and scenic routes, lots of waterfalls, but I also recommend just following the easy signs. It makes it easier. Eventually, you'll come to the next trail intersection, and you'll just keep following the signs towards Colvin and Elk Pass. It is important to take note of the many signs that will be along the journey, such as trail markers, camping regulations, as well as other signs to make sure that you don't accidentally go down the wrong trail. It's approximately 2 miles once you go from the Gill Brook Trail to go to the bottom of Colvin and Blake. This trail up is pretty gradual and not terribly rocky. One thing I love about this trail is that this was the very first trail I hiked when hiking my first high peak back in 2015. Definitely a lot more eroded and rooty, but always a good time. Reminisce. Eventually, you'll make it to the Colvin Blake Nippletop Dial intersection for Elk Pass. So we're now at the intersection for Nippletop to Elk Pass left and to Colvin and Blake to the right. This intersection has changed so much over the years. It's so much wider. I remember it just being like a narrow funnel of trees right into here, but now it's, you could camp here, right?
Well, 200 feet from the trail, then you can camp here.
The trail up to Colvin starts out very steep. It's 1.1 miles, but it remarkably goes by pretty fast. You'll be met with plenty of scrambles, places to grab trees, as well as many mud pits that you'll have to either jump over or walk through.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right before you get to the top, you'll be met with a very small ladder, which will then bring you up and out to the beautiful view.
Jonathan Zaharek filming me. Don't you know I'm a podcaster? I don't go on camera. And we're here. Woo! And it is smoky today. 2.5 hours from car to summit. We are 6 miles into the day as we stand atop Mount Colvin.
To mark the summit is one of the original Colvin survey markers. Like I said earlier, it is a very smoky and hazy day, but if you look out, you can see the Great Range to the west, the Alsable Lakes down below, and just to the right is Nippletop. James eating a sandwich.
One per summit.
Next, we will begin our descent and on our way to Blake. What do you think of that view of Blake?
It's a decent view of Blake, certainly. I'd say it's one of the better views of the mountain, and it really just kind of taunts you as it sits in front of you like this, knowing what's still to come.
Better to look at it than to look from it. The hike down from Colvin towards Blake is actually pretty hairy, so be very careful.
The summit of Colvin. But hey, that's why we're here. We knew that.
This is the bottom of Blake. This is a fantastic spot to take a break, give your knees a rest if you need to, have a sip of water, maybe eat something else right before going back up. This log has been here for a while. Now we're gonna ascend the 600 feet and half a mile to the summit of Blake. It should be noted that Blake has little to no views, and the only views on Blake is going to be ascending this section of the trail. It will be met with multiple scrambles, but it's still a very beautiful hike up, despite the lack of any views. But make sure to look back when you do.
All right.
9:45 a.m. Here's the rock on the summit of Blake.
James with his second sandwich.
Gotta have it.
And I'm gonna go with a honey stinger before we head down and go back up Colvin. The thing that makes Colvin and Blake very challenging is the fact that you have to go up and over Colvin, down and up to Blake, only then to go back down and all the way back up Colvin. And with Blake not having any views or really any water, that's why Blake is one of the most hated mountains. But you still have to do it. We eventually made our way back up to Colvin and descended to go back down and over to Elk Pass. 4.8 mile out and back for Blake, done. Seriously though, that took like 2.5, 3 hours. It's a long out and back, guys. Seriously, it's one of the, if you consider the out and back for Blake starting here at the sign, it's probably the longest like out and back really you could possibly do in the park. It's a lot.
Brutal, all right.
It's brutal. No water. Make sure to pack water. And you're going to hit Colvin twice. 1.9 miles to Nippletop. We'll probably hit it here in about 45 minutes or so. I'm not sure why I said 45 minutes here, because the average hiker will probably take upwards of an hour and a half to get to Nippletop from this point. It's a very gradual and easy trail into Elk Pass, which is very beautiful. But the trail up Nippletop is brutal. At its steepest section, you will be climbing 1,100 feet in 0.6 of a mile. So be prepared for it to feel like it will never end. Upon reaching the top, you will see the sign
0.2, right?
indicating 0.2 of a mile to the right to the Nippletop summit.
Something like that. Yeah, 0.2, right.
Make your way the 0.2 of a mile, where you will be greeted with a short view of the final summit, which then you will make your way to the top and see the gorgeous 180-degree views.
The summit of Nippletop. It's just around 1:15. So that puts us at 7 hours and 15 minutes into the day. What a view. Nice and wide open. Man, this is one of the best ones right here. Yeah, it doesn't get much better than this.
have 2 slices of pizza. I was in Rhode Island all day yesterday. I watched the screening of Oppenheimer in IMAX 70mm. Amazing. But I picked up some pizza from Pizza Marvin as per recommendation from Dave Portnoy. Dave, this is for you. 1 bite, everyone knows the rules. A little floppy, but it's better than no pizza.
I would love to have some pizza myself right now.
Also, just on the other side of the summit is a gorgeous outlook towards the Dix Range. I really recommend going and checking it out. After you have retraced your steps back to the intersection, you will then continue 5.7 miles along this ridge all the way back to Lake Road, which will include about 6 uphill sections, climbing a total of 1,000 feet on the descent. This descent is very gradual, and I'll tell you, this is a very beautiful ridgeline. There's so many ferns and beautiful pine trees. It's certainly not to be rushed through. On the way to Dial, you will encounter about 3 minor uphill sections until you reach the summit. Dial is approximately 1.9 miles from the Nippletop intersection.
2:45. Made great time, as always, coming from Nippletop. The Great Range looking absolutely incredible in front of us. Another just magnificent view, clear. The air is smoky today from the wildfires, but all the mountains look pristine and glorious.
Look how far Colvin is.
As expected. And Colvin, way over there. I feel good. I know you feel good. It's a nice day out in High Peaks.
From Dial, it's 1.7 miles to Bear Den and 3.8 miles to Lake Road. Okay, so something with this sign to take note of. The summit of Nippletop is 5.9 from the parking lot, according to the sign. Well, according to this sign, Nippletop is 3.4 this direction, and the parking is 3.8 that direction, which makes it 7.2 miles from the summit of Nippletop to the parking. That's a 1.3 mile difference. That's ridiculous. So I personally believe that we are less distance to the parking lot than I think we are from Nippletop. Or do you think Nippletop is closer than 3.4?
It does feel like it was away.
It might be like 2.5. After descending off of Dial, you will go down approximately 1,000 feet before climbing up to Bear Den. This area suffered a wildfire in 1999, which burned approximately 90 acres, leaving all of this burnt debris and this thriving black birch forest. Eventually, the trail will descend back into the valley, crossing back onto the AMR property and through the hardwood forest, eventually bringing you to Lake Road. From here, the gate is 0.8 of a mile.
This is all I ever look forward to when I go hiking. I don't look forward to summits, I look forward to this.
And that is the end of today's video. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this new style that I'm trying to bring to the channel. Please let me know in the comments below what you thought about it. Obviously, it's a little different, but I'm really trying to diversify and change my format here. For those who are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, because why not? If you would like to support the channel, support me and the content creation up here and delivering this Adirondack content to the community, you can go ahead onto Patreon and support me. It goes a long way and it keeps me here and being able to create content like this. So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your support and watching the video. And I'm Jonathan Zaharek, and we'll see you next time.
The money first, so I don't have to